Hi everyone, welcome to Corporate Review. I'm your host, Ara Tapuzian. I'm the City of Novi's Economic Development Director. And as always, we go out and about within the city to check out businesses that maybe you haven't heard of. This is one that I've had a good fortune to come here quite often, and I'm always intrigued when I come here. And we're at TRI Technical Center. I'm here with Greg Lewandowski, which is just a little bit of an easier name than Tapuzian. Slightly. But you're the general manager here.
Correct.
And thank you for being on our show today.
You're very welcome. Glad to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Tell a little bit about, well, first tell us TRI, what does that stand for, and talk about the history of this company, Greg.
Okay. TRI Technical Center is actually part of Tokai Rubber Industries,
okay,
which is a Japanese-based manufacturer of, well, a multitude of products, but one of the main businesses we're in is anti-vibration products.
Okay.
These are things that go onto cars like engine mounts, suspension bushings, muffler hangers, pretty much anything rubber or rubber and metal bonded.
Okay.
TRI Technical Center was developed, it was opened 10 years ago to do North American development for non-Japanese OEMs and for our Japanese customers who are doing unique vehicles for this market.
Okay.
So we're part of a large multinational corporation. You can see on the map behind us.
You're all over the place.
There's a number of dots, not as many as actual locations. We are up to 40 global locations.
Okay.
In 11 different countries. We're in the middle of some M&A activity that's going to increase that by close to 20 sites with some concentration in South America and more in Europe. So,
date back, how old is the company? Not the center here. I know it's 10 years, but
Tokai's over 80 years old.
Okay.
They were established back in 1929.
Wow.
In Japan. Actually started out in the mining business, making rubber belts to move the ore out of copper mines in Japan.
So now, are there other technical centers like this in North America, or is this it?
This is it in North America.
Terrific.
We were the first one, again, opened 10 years ago.
Yep.
We've now added additional sites in China, Thailand, and Europe. So we're spreading out not only our manufacturing base, but also our technical support base.
So why Novi? Why? You could have been anywhere in the country. We're glad you're here, but why did you pick Novi?
We did a very extensive search while we were looking for our site, and the biggest issue for us was being close to all of our different customers. We not only had the North American traditional three, but also many of our current Japanese customers, and Novi is a very good central location for our site. We're easy to access all of our customers.
Yeah. How many employees do you have here?
We're up to 20.
Okay.
And we're adding fairly regularly now. So
and business is good?
Business is very good, yes.
Great. So we're going to walk around. You've got a great facility here and a lot of testing that's going on in the back. And do you mind giving us a little tour?
Not at all. We can go take
Terrific.
a look.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
So Greg, let's talk about this. It's shaking.
Yes.
So what goes on here?
What goes on here? This is our 4-post vehicle shaker. We use this equipment to test cars for various what we call NVH, noise, vibration, harshness issues. We can program it to run a test track profile, so the car is moving just like it's driving down one of our customers' test tracks.
Right.
And we can also program it to do a variety of different, we'll say, vibration profiles to test different components in the vehicle.
So where would your product in this particular vehicle, where would that be placed?
In this case, it would be the engine mounts supporting the engine, and potentially this is a body-on-frame vehicle, so there's mounts between the frame and the body itself, and we would have product in that location as well, potentially. And
I don't want to give it all away. We've got some more testing cells we're going to take a look at, but the overall goal is for what with your product? I mean, there's an absorption of the shock, obviously. There's a sound factor as well. Would those be? Are those the two components that?
Two of the main components. What we're looking for is what we say NV improvement, noise and vibration improvement. You don't want to get in a car and drive down the road and have the steering wheel shaking in your hand.
Right.
You don't want to be driving down the road and at 75 miles an hour hear that roar coming through the vehicle. So we tune our product with our customers to improve those issues and try to minimize or eliminate those issues.
Great. Where should we walk to next?
We'll go into the dyno room.
Oh, great. I always like going to the dyno room. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So this is our control room for a multitude of pieces of equipment we have here. We have our control system for the 4-poster that we just saw.
Okay.
We also have some smaller test equipment, a sound tube for measuring the acoustic performance of some of our urethane products, and our microscope that allows us to look up to 5,000 times magnification if we need to get a very fine picture of maybe one of the ways a part broke, or look at some specific detail on a product.
Where are we going next?
We're going to head into the dyno room itself.
Oh, excellent.
Good.
Greg, this is the multi-purpose room. This is your man cave, I'm assuming?
It has been used for some R&R, I guess, in one way or another.
So obviously we're in a sound deadening room. I mean, talk about what goes on in here.
Well, technically this is called a hemianechoic chamber.
Well, you call it that. I could call it, you know.
The idea of this room, you can see that the walls are not flat. Obviously, you see this unique profile. This room is designed to absorb all sound that's emanated from a source. In this case, it's a vehicle.
Okay.
The purpose of that is that when we're testing a car, we don't want to measure what sound is being bounced or reflected around in a room. We want to get pure sound levels from the vehicle
From the actual vehicle. Okay.
Yes.
How is some of these products, I mean, how has your product changed? I mean, one would think rubber is rubber and it doesn't change, but what kinds of things have gone into the product that's sort of changed to enhance it, to make it a better performing product?
Many things. There are the old typical engine mount you're talking about was a block of rubber bonded to some metal with a couple of bolts in it. We provide mounts right now that are what we call fully active engine mounts. They actually have an electronic component in them that dampens out every time a cylinder fires. And those are on some pretty baseline vehicles in the marketplace. They're not on the high-end cars. We sell a lot of them to some pretty standard level product.
And I've got to imagine, like anything else, when we talk to other auto suppliers, you know, it's got to be lighter and, you know, less expensive and so forth. How has that changed the way you do your testing and designing of new products? I mean, I would imagine the same thing. I mean, going back to the original thought of rubber is rubber, you've got to make that a lighter product, I would assume, or no?
Yeah, there's a big push right now, especially with the new EPA regulations coming in, that everybody's pushing toward lighter materials, either less material, so we're trying to improve the durability of the rubber itself, lighter by going from, say, a steel bracket to an aluminum bracket. So there's a multitude of fronts that we're attacking that problem on.
Hard one to attack? I mean, I would imagine the layman would say the way you absorb something is it's got to be thick.
Correct.
So the thinner you make that, that's got to make it a lot more challenging. Is it you know, into the nitty gritty of actually the raw materials that go into making the product? Is that changed as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have developed new rubber compounds over the years. The other problem we're facing is the engines are getting smaller and smaller and fewer cylinders, and everybody knows that a V8 idles a lot smoother than an i4. Right. So the temperatures are going up. So yes, the compounds themselves have changed significantly over the last 10 years, where the chemistries are getting more complex. Okay. And we're doing things to try to improve the durability of the product itself, the components itself.
We could stay in here forever because it's just so nice and quiet. Yes. We should all have one of these. But where are we going to go next?
We're going to go out and look at some of our test equipment for the component level testing. We've seen everything we do for vehicle level. Now we're going to go down to the components themselves that we make.
Great, let's go. Okay. So Greg, we've got more testing equipment out here, a little bit noisier, but what do we've got going on?
This is our component test area. So we've got some machines that do what we call single axis test, where there's a load being applied in one direction. Torsional test equipment, where some of our components have a twisting test requirement. Sure. This machine can do those kinds of tests. We also have a couple of bed plates with actuators on them, where we can hook them up either in 1-axis, 2-axis, or 3, so we can apply different loads in different directions.
Is this where you make your breakfast burrito? Or?
Not exactly.
No.
No, this is where we do a test, we call it a creep test, where we measure the rubber displacement over time under load. So it's a kind of a combination of material and design test for our product.
Okay.
We have a couple different pieces of equipment in the corner here. One's a very high load, 50 kilonewtons or 5 metric ton capable machine, and then a 3-axis machine that can test a component in multiple axes at one time.
Wow. Now what room are we walking into next?
We're going to go into the, well, I guess I'd call it the other test room, but this
very
is one
technical.
Very technical.
Yeah.
But in this particular room, it's used more for finer type tests where we're calibrating. Out here we tend to do durability, long-term type testing. In there we'll test apart what we call the characteristics, say static and dynamic characteristics, things that are important to our customer.
What kind of shift hours are you working? I mean, how often are you guys running all this equipment?
It's cyclical depending on the customer's requirements. We're a 1-shift operation, but a lot of the tests will run 24/7. Machines have safeguards built into them that if something were to go wrong, they shut themselves off. And so, but
let's walk into the other testing area.
The other test room, yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is the other testing room. What do we got going on here?
We have a couple of pieces of test equipment in here that are pretty important to our operation. We have an electrodynamic shaker.
Okay.
We're using it right now for a durability test, but we can also use this to measure characteristics of certain parts. This can shake up to 10 Gs and 2,000 hertz.
Wow, and you've got a pretty high performance camera going on here, and it's slowing it down on the
we've got itself. One of our newer pieces of equipment, a high-speed camera that allows us to, as you said, slow down the motion so we can actually see what's happening with the product pretty much in real time, make sure it's doing what it's supposed to.
Yeah, I can imagine. Hey, Greg, something that struck me, because you've got a lot of different types of testing equipment. I mean, how adaptable do you have to be in this environment where customers bringing you something unique, let's say, that needs to be tested a different way? I mean, is it common practice that you might have to reconfigure some equipment to test it? Like, is something like this, I would imagine, is somewhat standard, but if you were given a product that needs to be tested a certain way, do you have to go out and reconfigure what you're doing or get new equipment?
Generally not new equipment. We make a lot of what we call test fixtures.
Okay.
It's really adapting the product to the test equipment itself, so we make a lot of.
So it doesn't really change. Got it.
Yeah, the characteristics that we test change a lot, or how we test within the machine capability, but we have to have a very broad scope of capabilities to meet their needs.
Okay. Let's take a look at your work for us. It's one thing we really haven't done, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Sounds great.
Great. So is this the brain power?
This is the brains of the operation. This is where our engineers work. Most of the work that's done in a vehicle is actually done up front on a computer. We don't want to go and spend a lot of money, and our customers don't want to spend a lot of money on all of the expensive equipment you've seen out back. So we're doing more and more work in here in the CAD systems, where we're designing, simulating, and basically putting our parts through durability tests, characteristic tests, all the different performance requirements in a computer.
And are these all engineers?
Yes. Basically everyone you're seeing in the office is an engineer. Pretty much just a few support
How easy
staff.
hard is that to find? Has that been a challenge for you guys?
It has been a challenge. We're looking for a very specific capability, and what we do a lot of on-the-job training. We actually have one of our engineers. He's been over in our parent company in Tokai now. He'll be coming back next month, and he's been over there for almost a year.
Oh, terrific.
So we do a lot of that kind of training as well.
Excellent. Why don't we go back in the lobby and we can finish up?
Sure, sounds great.
Great. Well, Greg, we're back to the lobby. I want to definitely. Thank you for having this come out. I mean, these are always real interesting to do, and it's certainly we were able to see the back end of this and all the testing facility. You know, it'd be remiss if I didn't note that we were here not too long ago for the 10th anniversary, and we had a sake drum toast, and that's quite unique, certainly for us to see. And it was
a lot of fun. That
was a lot of fun. A mess. It was a mess.
A
little bit of everyone just kind of banging that down. But hey, we appreciate you being in Novi, and certainly the 10 years you've been here, and want to see you here for another 20, 30, 40 more years. You'll be on the boat somewhere.
I hope so.
Yeah, yeah. Give me a call.
Yeah,
Might be there too.
Great.
Greg, thanks again.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
taking the time.
Yep.
That's about all the time we have today for Corporate Review. Again, I'm Ara Topouzian, and if you want to learn more about what we do in the city of Novi for our business community and some of our economic development strategies, I invite you to go on to investnovi.org. Until next time, take care.